I saw a video yesterday, which I'll link in the description, that talked about essentially goals versus values. And I'm talking about this because I feel like when you see someone who's creating content on whatever platform, right, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, there's sort of this underlying connotation that they're in it for the money, the fame, the status, whatever, what have you, right? And I mean, I've met people who, quite honestly, are pursuing that. I mean, all the more power to them. That's just what they're pursuing, what they care about, what they value, or at least what they think they value. Because ultimately, when you think about this notion of goals versus values, goals are oftentimes definable by metrics, right? Like you want to hit a certain number of subscribers, you want to earn a specific recurring revenue, so on and so forth. And in many cases, these goals are just goals. They're not attached to values because value based goals are a different thing. They're goals just for the sake of having goals to provide some sort of direction or intent for ambition. So it's not just running wild. But the thing is, when you're more focused on pursuing goals, pursuing metrics, you're never going to be satisfied. There's always going to be someone with more than you, right? There's always going to be someone less than you. It's an easy way to compare yourself to kind of see where you stack up in the food chain. And it's a big source of pride and, quite honestly, your ego. And that's the thing, right? Where when you make decisions, when you act out of a desire to please your ego, that's not really you, right? Your ego is oftentimes based upon external factors and stimuli, right? What other people will think or perceive of you has something to do with your inherent self, which is ultimately measured by your values. And values are something I talk about quite a bit on my channel and throughout my videos, but I feel like maybe I haven't really fully described to you what my values are, which, again, they change throughout your life as you change and grow, as you have realizations, as you have experiences, and as your circumstances change. But right now, my values are summed up in one statement: the freedom to make impact in a manner authentic to me. Freedom, by far and away the most important one. It's all that I think about. It drives everything else. Because if you don't have freedom, you're merely a caged bird, right? You're not able to soar as high as you want to. You're not able to travel the broadest distances without hitting some sort of wall or having to return with your leash, which may have seemed quite lenient at the time, suddenly pulling you back. Freedom enables you to make the sort of impact you aspire to have. And maybe this is where my selfishness, my ego comes in, but I want to make as much impact as possible. And freedom is the key to that. Freedom in mind, body, spirit. Freedom in, yes, financial terms, right? because that's how the world works. That's the society we operate in, we live in, that we have to function with and exist in. And I'm not going to try and pretend and lie to you that money doesn't matter to me, that I have a money tree or a cash printing machine that covers all my needs. But it's not an end. It's a means to have the freedom to make the impact that I aspire to have for as long as I can in the fullest realms of my capacity. And in that sense, I just need enough, right? I don't need more than enough, just enough to be free. And lastly, authenticity, right? Because at the end of the day, if I maybe have the freedom, maybe I have the ability to make impact, but I'm doing so in a manner that doesn't resonate with me, that's not authentic to me and what's in my heart, then nothing else matters, right? If I'm posting clickbaity content, or if I'm trying to optimize to hook in and retain the viewer so I can get that juicy subscriber count boosted up, that's just not me. That's never felt right in my heart, and that's never why I started this channel, not what I dreamt about when I was a kid. I dreamt about the impact that I could have on individuals. And at the end of the day, impact, just like your values, aren't measurable. They're only felt, right? They're felt in the comments I receive from so many of you lovely individuals. They're felt in the private messages I get from time to time. They're felt in my heart when I know that I've spoken true to myself and something that deeply matters to me. Something that is a part of my story just as much as it's a part of yours. And by forming this connection with you, that's where the real connection lies. And through connection lies the opportunity for impact, for the opportunity to plant seeds of change. And values, like I said, they're not goals, they're not endpoints, they're directions. You are always working towards a life that is in alignment with your values. And they can always be strengthened, right? Because at times we falter. At times our values get put in the back burner and we feel it over time. I felt it last year when I was working in investment banking, and I, like so many people, convinced myself that my actions reflected my values. But when you really get clear on what your values are and in what priority, and you really examine your actions on a day-to-day basis, you'll know if you're living in alignment with them. And as I wrote on September 1st, 2021, at 9:24 in the morning, we must set and find very clear what our values and priorities are in life, and to make sure they're in check and balance. Is it learning and growth, family and friends, satisfaction at work? Otherwise, we act with no intention or adherence to our inherent self, right? Your values, they are a part of you, the fabric of who you are. Goals and metrics, they are like the shirt you wear. They can be exchanged and passed from person to person. Your values are sticky, right? And you'll know, because you'll feel it in your heart, or in your day to day, if you really sit down and be still with yourself, if you're living in alignment with those values. And if you realize that they aren't, just like I did, then it's time to change, to move in a direction that is more aligned with what you value in life. And that's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards a life that is in alignment with my values, a life of integrity, one that aligns with my character, who I am, and no one else. Because strip away all the goals, the metrics, the vanity, and so forth. I know that when when my head hits the pillow at night, I've lived in alignment with myself. And that's what we can all strive for on a day-to-day basis, is to understand who we are and to do our best to make sure that we're living in alignment with that. So, all I have to say, I encourage you to, firstly, ask yourself, what do I value? What do I truly care about? What could I not go without in my life? And make sure you list them in sequential order, right? Because when push comes to shove, oftentimes you'll need to prioritize one more than the other, or you'll have to show up differently for one or the other. And from there, ask yourself, if I were to really take and deconstruct my day from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, how true am I living in alignment with those values? Do I see the purpose and the intent of each of my actions and how they move me towards that life in alignment? And if not, ask yourself, what are my most important values, my priorities, and how do I make the shifts in my day-to-day life to move closer to them? So, that's what I'm working towards. That's how I live my life. And hopefully it's something that you'll consider as well. Thank you again for your time. It's a Friday afternoon where I am. If it is for you too, or if it's Saturday or whenever, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll talk to you soon.